Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we break down those confusing corporate documents and see what's really going on behind the scenes. Today we're diving into a filing from Pool Corporation, and let's just say they've been busy refinancing their big borrowing agreements. It seems like they're tweaking how they borrow money and when they have to pay it back. So let's unpack what that means for them. Before we jump in, if you find value in these deep dives into company filings, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. We also have a fantastic community on Discord, linked in the description below, where we discuss these things further. So, Pool Corporation, and let's call them the company for simplicity, just signed a new deal for their credit. Think of a credit agreement like a big loan contract that a company uses to get money when it needs it. This isn't just any loan, it's a fourth amended and restated credit agreement, which basically means they've taken an existing loan agreement, made some significant changes, and rewrites the whole thing. The main players here are the company itself, acting as the borrower, and Wells Fargo Bank as the main banker, along with other lenders. The big news in this updated agreement is how they're refinancing a massive $500 million loan. It's like taking out a new mortgage to pay off an old one, but with different terms. They've pushed back the deadline to pay this loan back from September 2026 all the way to September 2026, all the way to September 2029. This gives them more breathing room, which is often a good sign they're managing their cash flow strategically. They also mentioned something called Term SOFR and an adjustment. Term SOFR is essentially a new benchmark interest rate that replaced the old LIBOR rate, and the adjustment Term SOFR is essentially a new benchmark interest rate that replaced the old LIBOR rate. And the adjustment was a small percentage point added to it. They've gotten rid of that extra adjustment, which would likely lower their interest costs slightly. Now, besides that specific loan, this agreement also covers their revolving credit facility. Picture this as a big credit card for businesses, allowing them to borrow money as needed, pay it back, and borrow again. This facility has a massive $800 million limit, and it's unsecured, meaning it's not backed by specific company assets, which generally suggests the lenders have a lot of trust in the company's ability to repay. What's interesting is they also have an OCAV feature that lets them ask for up to an additional $250 million. It's like having an option to increase your credit limit if you need more funds for growth or other opportunities. They can also extend the maturity date of this revolving credit facility by up to 2 years, which again points to flexibility in managing their debts. As of July 10th, 2025, they had $380 million borrowed on this revolving credit. They also had that $500 million term loan we talked about and some outstanding letters of credit. Letters of credit are like a bank guarantee that a company will fulfill its obligations to a third party, so it's good to see they're managing those too. What's key here is that just under $400 million term loan we talked about and some outstanding letters of credit let a bank guarantee that a company will fulfill its obligations to a third party. So it's good to see they're managing those too. What's key here is that just under $406 million was still available for them to borrow under this facility. So even with $380 million already drawn, they still have a significant amount of borrowing capacity left. Even with these new arrangements, they still have to stick to certain financial promises. They need to keep their total leverage ratio below a certain point. This ratio basically tells you how much debt a company has compared to its earnings or assets. Keeping this ratio in check is crucial, as it shows lenders they're not taking on too much debt. They also need to maintain a minimum fixed charge coverage ratio, which measures their ability to cover essential costs like interest payments with their operating income. These are vital signs of financial health, and sticking to them is non-negotiable for maintaining good relations with lenders. Their video so Nejavri has compared your health, and sticking to them is non-negotiable for maintaining good relations with lenders. But wait, there's more. They also entered into a separate Fourth Amendment to credit agreement with Bank of America. This amendment specifically deals with a different credit agreement originally signed way back in 2019. The main point here is also to align the maturity date of a term loan with the other agreement, pushing it to September 2029, and they're also removing that same term SOFR adjustment. At the time of this filing, they had $90 million outstanding under this particular agreement. Of course, all of this borrowing and refinancing doesn't come for free. The company has to pay fees to the banks and agents involved. These are standard costs of doing business when you're dealing with large credit facilities. It also mentions that the company and its affiliates have engaged and will continue to engage with these same banks for other regular banking and investment services, paying them customary fees. This is pretty typical. When you have a strong relationship with a bank for your major borrowing needs, you often use them for other financial services too. These agreements are pretty detailed, and the filing includes them as exhibits. Exhibit 10.1 is the big fourth amended and restated credit agreement with Wells Fargo, and Exhibit 10.2 is the fourth amendment to credit agreement with Bank of America. These are the actual legal documents that lay out all the nitty-gritty terms. And who signed off on this? Melanie Housey Hart, who holds the important title of Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. This is the person ultimately responsible for the company's financial reporting and strategy. Now, let's put on our Warren Buffett hat and see what this all means. Pool Corporation is in the business of distributing swimming pool supplies and related products, and they're a pretty big player in that space. Refinancing their debt like this, extending maturities and getting rid of certain interest structure, pushing out debt maturities to 2029 gives them more operating flexibility and reduces the pressure of having to come up with a large sum of money soon. It suggests confidence from lenders and the company itself in its future ability to generate cash. Having significant revolving credit available, even with substantial borrowings, means they have a safety net and the capacity to fund operations, acquisitions, or unexpected expenses. The $800 million revolving facility with an accordion feature is substantial and provides considerable financial muscle. The fact that they have this much in place and are extending its terms indicates stability and a solid relationship with their banking partners. However, it's also important to remember that debt is still debt, while managing it well is a sign of strength. The company still has obligations to repay these loans. The key will be how their underlying business performance supports these obligations. Their ability to maintain those leverage and coverage ratios is paramount. If their earnings were to dip significantly, or if they needed to borrow much more than anticipated, those ratios could become a problem. Overall, this filing shows a company that is strategically managing its debt and financing. They are extending the life of their loans, which is generally a positive move for financial flexibility. It suggests they are confident in their long-term prospects and their ability to service their debt. There aren't any alarming red flags waving here, but like any company with significant debt, investors should always keep an eye on their revenue growth, profitability, and their ability to meet their financial covenants. It's a sign of a mature company working to optimize its capital structure. Alright, that's our breakdown of Pool Corporation's latest financial maneuvering. What's your take on these debt arrangements and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps us out. And subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate finance. And don't forget to check out the Discord community in the description. It's a great place to continue the conversation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Corporate Decoder.